Hey soulmates, welcome to the channel. Sylvia here. In today's video we are going to be sewing our corset top that we drafted in our previous tutorial. So we're going to begin by placing the center front on fold and then mark out our sewing allowance around it, and then same for each and every other piece that we drafted. So what I'm doing basically is adding ½ inch all around as my seam allowance, and then for the down part, the length part, I'm adding 1 inch. So ½ inch all around and then 1 inch at the bottom part. So after cutting, this is what my pattern looks like, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut out these exact shapes for the lining, and for that I'm going to be using this silk satin. Here I've already cut out my satin and interfaced it with fusible. So I interfaced both the lining and the main fabric for the corset. So next step, we're going to separate the main corset pieces from the lining pieces, which is the satin pieces, and then we're going to pin them together. So we're going to pin the middle front, which is middle piece 1 and middle piece 2 with right sides facing. After we have pinned this in place, we are also going to go ahead and pin the side pieces to each side of the middle front. After you're done pinning the front, you want to proceed to also pinning the back pieces together. Note that you are leaving the middle open. You are not going to pin the middle. Now you're going to go ahead and assemble everything together by sewing each line. Take out the pins and sew along each line. When you're done, this is what you should have, and then also repeat for the lining part. So for the main part, I'm going to be leaving the sides since I haven't draped the satin that is to be at the front. But for the lining part, I've already joined everything. I've joined the back to the front. I want it to be fitted at the bottom part of the corset, so I went in by 1 inch at the bottom part and connected that to the waistline. I did it for both sides, and then I also did it for the main pattern as well, for the main part of the corset. So I did it on the lining and on the main part of the corset. Now you can see I left one part of the corset unsewn. This is where I'm going to be installing the modesty panel for the back of the corset. I'm going to be installing it through this opening. I want my modesty panel to be on the left side of my corset, to be coming out from the left side of my corset. So the left side from the right side of the corset equals the right side on the lining of the corset. So this is on the right side, like facing towards me right now, like this is on the right side. So when you lining it to your corset, it's going to fall on the left side of your corset. So to get the length of the modesty panel, I minused 1 inch from the top and the bottom of the length of that seam that I left open that I have not sewn. So whatever you have there, you want to cut it on fold, and then you can use whatever width you want to use. But for my width here, I'm using 8 inches, so 8 inches wide, and then whatever you measure, you cut that on fold plus your allowance for sewing. Now placing the length of our fabric piece on fold, I went ahead to sew one side close and then opened it up just like this, so the same line is at the middle of the piece, and then sew close one side and leave the other, because the other side is the side we are going to be inserting into the lining. After that, you want to flip the panel out to the right side and iron it flat. Next, you go ahead and insert this into the lining with right sides facing, so that the side with the joining is the side that will face your skin, and the side that is smooth without joining is the side that will show outwards at the back of the corset. So now you're just going to mark away your 1 inch from the top corners and the bottom corner, and then place the panel on top, and then pin the other layer of the lining piece over it. After pinning, sew in place. Now that you are done with the lining, you're going to set it aside and proceed to the front drapes. Now for the front drapes, here I'm just going to measure along the width of the front pattern. Notice how I am measuring this, not like just straight and flat. I'm measuring it around the curves. So for the width, I got 16, and then I'm also going to measure the length of where I want the drapes to stop. I think I'm just going to stop at the under boobs, point. So I'm going to measure that, and then for that I got 7 inches. So now I'm going to be multiplying the 7 inches by 3 to get 21 inches, since I'm going to be pleating it while draping. And then for the width, I added 4 inches to both sides, which is a total of 8 inches added to 16 inches that I got, so it ended up being 24. So 24 inches wide and 21 inch in the length. Then I proceeded to notching the middle of the width part, and then align that with the middle of the sweater, and then just traced out the neckline to armhole onto the satin fabric that I'm going to be using for draping. Note that if you're going to be draping this to your dress form, if you're going to use a dress form for draping, you don't need all these measurements. You don't need them. Just drape directly onto your dress form until you're satisfied with what you have draped. So here you can see me pinning the satin fabric onto the front part of the corset top. I'm pinning from like straight along the top, from armhole around the sweater to the other armhole, which should not be like that. It gave me problems when I was trying to drape. You are supposed to pin only the neckline, only the sweetheart neckline, and then drape from there. And then also, do not make a mistake of trying to drape straight flat like this, because it's going to be flat and it's going to be holding back your boobs. It's going to be too holding tight your boobs. It's just not going to look right. Okay, now before I proceed to draping, I'm going to go ahead and iron out my bodice. Going to iron it out and then create my boning channels. So for the boob area, I'm just going to fold it out so that I can get the curves out, as I am not using a breast ball or tailor's ham to iron out the boob area. So this is how I'm just going to iron it out so the curve comes out. Now to create the boning channels, I'm going to be flipping the sewn allowance to the side, towards the side it's facing. So on the left hand side, I'll flip them to that direction, and on the right hand side I'll flip them to the right hand side direction. Same for the back part of the bodice, flipping the channels towards the side. Now after I was done creating the channels, this is what it looked like. Here you can see that I made a mistake of sewing from armhole to armhole instead of just the neckline, and it affected the drapes. I could not drape properly, so I later loosened it and sewed only the neck area, only the sweetheart neck area. Now you can see that it is so flat. So this is just an idea of how your draping should go, but not flat like this. Make sure you are pushing out the boob curves while you drape. So what I did is that I kind of chalked out the middle of my pattern, like the middle of what I'm draping, and then so I just marked the middle of where I want, like my under boob point, the middle of it. I marked that point. So now when I'm draping, I try to align that middle line and then curve out the boob area so the drape does not drag it, so it is not flat. So it just drapes rhymes with the curve. This is only if you are doing it flat like this. If you are not doing it with a dress form, you need to push out the boob curves. If you have breast balls, they're fine and good. You can place it underneath and drape over it, or you can pack clothes underneath, like pack clothes and fold it like a ball and place it underneath the boob area and then drape over it. And then when you are done draping, go ahead and sew along the edges to attach them together and then trim off the excess satin. Next, you're going to go ahead and pin both sides in place, placing the right sides together with the back piece, and then mark out your sewing allowance. And then for the down part, you also see that I added an extra 1 inch the way I did for the lining, so it is tight around that area. And then take it to your sewing machine and sew along your markings. And then this is me just trimming off any uneven edges. Now placing the lining and the main bodice together with right sides facing, you are going to pin along the top corner of your corset top. After pinning, now you want to sew 1/2 inch along this corset neckline. Now I want to go ahead and notch around the neckline. After notching, now you want to flip your sewn allowance towards the lining side and sew 1/2 inch along the two sides of the middle back. After that, flip your top out to the right side and run a stitch along both edges of the middle back to create a boning channel that would support the eyelets area. Here you can see I've gone ahead to create a boning channel on both sides of the center back, and then I also marked out the points where I want to place eyelets. So now I'm just going ahead to iron out the entire corset top back and front before I insert my boning into the channels. Now this is what it's looking like after I've already installed my eyelets. For this corset, I would have preferred using a rubber bone, but I only had a regular bone available at the moment, so I used a regular bone. So to avoid your boning poking through your fabric, this is how I cover up my regular bone. I use masking tape or any form of sellotape. I just use it to wrap around the edge before inserting it through the boning channel. And then note that each boning is 1 inch shorter than the actual channel length. After I'm done inserting the boning through each channel, I'm going to be using a 2.5-inch wide piece of strap to cover up the rough edges at the bottom part of the corset using a piping method. So now to pipe, first off I'm going to pin the lining and the main corset together to align everything, and then trim off any uneven edges from the lining. Now to pipe, I'm going to start from the inside, which is from the wrong side. I'll sew and bring it out to the right side and then fold in the allowance. That's how I'm going to do it all around the bottom part of the corset. And then this is what it's looking like afterwards. And then I also went ahead to sew ropes for lacing the back parts of the corset. And that's it for this tutorial, guys. Thank you for watching. I really hope you found this video useful. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed creating the video. Make sure to like, comment your thoughts on this video, share this video with people you know might be interested. Have a blessed day, guys. Until next time, bye.